thank you for having me the other day. That was fun.
Yeah, did that turn out okay? Were you happy with the good?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, the pictures were so cool. I was like, damn. I mean, the place just speaks for itself.
good. Yeah. And we're like on the verge of doing so much more. So
For sure.
I'm
How,
pretty
how did you
excited.
get into this subject matter and topic? I mean, I think it's just remarkable that, what you've created here for a community, it's never been seen before. So I just don't know how that came about to you and saying, hey, we should totally do this for Calgary.
Yeah, I mean, it came from a few places. Like it's kind of started off with my own health journey because I haven't been the healthiest person my whole life. So I've been very much looking for solutions to my own problems. And I also am really into outdoor activities. So anything that can help me optimize my performance has been of huge interest. And so I've been following it for a while and then started to see this trend emerging in the US where people were taking a lot more control over their own biology and their own solutions and trying to access technologies that really haven't made it to the mainstream. And then when we say made it to the mainstream, we're talking about 30 years, like from the time things get researched, well developed, well researched, and then moved into textbooks that can be taught at med school and then become part of regular practice. Like it takes a long time. So if you're someone who's interested in health right now, health for the future and longevity, it's really something you have to be a little bit more self-directed around to get access to. So that's kind of where the knowledge base started. And then the real story behind why did we do this in Calgary is I met my business partner and we started talking about our own health issues. And he's like, Lisa, I have a death anxiety and I want to live forever. So I've been looking at what all the billionaires are doing to keep themselves healthy. Because if anyone knows how to do this, it's them. And, sure enough, all the stuff he was finding was the same stuff I'd found, but coming at it from a health, an optimization perspective. So we waited a little bit to see would some of this stuff show up in Canada, and when it didn't, we just said we got to do this.
For the listeners, we're talking about biohacking, your mind, your body, which eventually leads to your spirit. The stuff that you guys have at Eon, is that a common thing for in the categories of biohacking?
There's tons of overlap for sure. So I would say what you're going to learn about when you start down that rabbit hole of biohacking, you're probably going to find in our facility. And there's so much that you learn in biohacking that you can do at home. Then there's the really expensive technologies that are hard to get access to that you'd find in our facility. And then there's treatment protocols and molecules that are emerging that biohackers will use. And so the thing, I would definitely say I've personally done a lot of biohacking. And the big challenge is, you're dabbling in a fair bit of medical stuff, right? And so there was many times where I was very comfortable with self-experimentation and other times where I really wished I had guidance. And so, being in a position now with a facility where we really added in that medical oversight is huge for people who want access to research-based technologies, but want to do it in a safe way, have a way more holistic guided medical experience.
Sure. I mean, you've got this leg press there that's, I still think about it all the time.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, because how do you characterize our facility? You've been there, right? Like there's some really medical stuff, like with stuff you'd see in a hospital, like for IVs, things like that. But then there's this new futuristic gym sort of look to it as well, right?
Well, I mean, time is all we have in this world. And I think that bench press thing really brought it to life where you said, you don't have to always be in the gym. You could literally get what you need out of it in that one session. And I think it's, what was it, like a few days worth is in that 12 minutes or?
Yeah, I mean, it takes you 5 days to recover, like a minimum of 5 days. So most people just use it once a week. We can throw, a second workout if needed. And like you said, it's 15 minutes of your life. It's not an easy 15 minutes. There's no free lunch, but there certainly is fast food now when it comes to exercise using AI-based technologies, machine-based technologies, and tons of emerging research around finding that minimum effective dose for exercise versus a lot of the overtraining that we see people do. Or even if it's not overtraining, it's just long amounts of time that aren't necessarily yielding the results that someone's looking for. So, I mean, we needed, I think, in any holistic program or comprehensive program that looks at your health, you have to be looking at fitness. So for us, that's why there is some core pieces that are going to give you health results in, the 8-minute bike ride with 2 20-second sprints, or 15 minutes, like heavy machine-based computerized weight training. And then people can do whatever they want after that, but at least you've got your basics in for the week.
Exactly. And your bikes are not just normal bikes. They're machine learning AI bikes. I've never seen this before, but it learns your body. It learns the pedal, your movements. How does that help an individual out in terms of their own well-being?
Yeah, it's a pretty cool technology because, again, it leverages the research that's been done around high intensity interval training, HIIT training, which we've all heard of, but it adds that element of that minimum effective dose, right? So what's the minimum that you need of HIIT training to get all of those great health outcomes that we see? So one of the key studies they did was comparing 30 minutes of running 3 times a week versus these 2 20-second sprints 3 times a week in the 8-minute workout. And sure enough, they had better health outcomes. So all the health markers that you would track for health optimization improved even more than that 30 minutes of running. And so the thing is, like, you can't just go outside and run your hardest for 40 seconds and get the exact same result, because what we have is perceived effort. So you had a bad sleep, you drank too much the night before, like all these things impact how hard something feels. So you really need that AI to know what's normal for you, where should you be at, and then pushing you into those really specific power and heart rate bands to get the proper 20 seconds in. And that's how that AI backend really supports this cool technology.
Are you seeing a trend, though, in DIY biohacking and improving health and wellness of individuals? Like, are people interested in Calgary about this topic now?
Absolutely. Like, actually, what's been really fascinating for me was I thought our clinic was going to be hugely popular with baby boomers, because they've got time, they have disposable income, and they've got all kinds of things they want to do, right? Like golf and play with the grandkids and travel. And so who else would want to stay as healthy as possible and for as long as possible? Baby boomers. And it really didn't turn out that way. I think it'll get there, but our early adopters have absolutely been more, I guess, my age group and younger. So let's say between 35 and 55 has really been where we've seen a huge uptake in Calgary. And I think a big part of that's, we're into social media, we listen to podcasts. If you've listened to Joe Rogan at all, like millions of us have, you've absolutely heard of some of this biohacking stuff. If you listen to Tim Ferriss, who's got a popular podcast, same thing. Ben Greenfield, if you're into sports, and this is all stuff that they talk about all the time. So I think that's really been what's pushed some of the younger generation to take hold of it first.
Do you like Joe Rogan?
I do. I can't listen. I'm pretty selective about his stuff, but yeah, I admit it. I do.
It's funny. It's entertaining. Yeah, I like watching it too. Yeah.
He's a good interviewer, right? He's always gonna,
So
entertain
talented.
something out that you didn't know about someone. Yeah.
Now, is keto diets and intermittent fasting all a part of biohacking when we look at the grand scheme of it all?
I think you definitely could consider it part of it. Diet's huge. So I would say from a longevity perspective, if there's one thing that is maybe the best or the most heavily researched as being the most effective way to increase your lifespan, it's calorie restriction. There's millions of mice animal studies that show that if you create a feeding window, which is what intermittent fasting is all about, that's restricted, you see 20-30% increases in lifespan. If you do calorie restriction in general, it's 30-40% increases in lifespan for these mice. So if there's one thing that's easy to do that people can access without actually having to change much, it's eating in an 8-hour window, which is what we all call intermittent fasting. It's time restricted eating. So you haven't really changed anything. You're still eating the same stuff, but now it's in an 8-hour window, and you can see a difference right away. It changes your insulin resistance just by having that longer time fasted. And people tend to eat a little bit less because they're having these big meals all at once. So yeah, we absolutely see a lot of that. And then if the more into biohacking you get, the more down the rabbit hole you go into tracking your glucose and tracking your ketones and continuous glucose monitors. And yeah.
Most oftentimes we see, well, if we eat healthy or watch our calories, we're not going to get those flavors we once enjoy and want. I don't want to eat rabbit food, I always hear. So how do you find a way to enjoy eating meals that are actually tasty, yet you feel fulfilled and full? And that, just like any habit you break, it's tough for that first little while. Have you been able to find a way to biohack that?
Yeah, I don't know if it's biohacking. I guess it depends what your guilty pleasures are. So, I mean, the biggest thing I think anyone can do for their diet is eat real food, right? So, if you're very much addicted to fast foods, the McDonald's, the processed foods, I think any diet's going to be hard to hack. If you can start shifting towards making some foods, like I suspect if anything could come out of COVID, is that, it's cooking shows and cooking lessons and people are trying more at home. But I mean, really time restricted eating is about as much of a hack as you can get. Like if you can do 16 hours of fasting, and you're still eating maybe some of your crappy food and the rest of the time, you'll likely still see results. So to me, that's a big hack. And then the second is absolutely if you can shift to real food, huge.
We live in a fast-paced world, and we're always on our screens. It affects our sleep. How have you been able to find ways to fall asleep quickly when we're dealing with stress and screen time?
Oh my gosh, I'm such a nerd when it comes to sleep. I don't know how deep you want me to go, but I wear an Oura ring. It's sort of like a Fitbit or an Apple tracker, but they developed it a lot more specifically to track sleep, and it's evolved to look at your heart rate variability, which is one of the big indicators of stress and overall health, heart rate, temperature, things like that. And it's just a nice, like, easy little ring that you can wear. That gives you a ton of data. And so I actually know like how much deep sleep I'm getting, how much REM sleep I'm getting. And so my goal was to start increasing my deep sleep, because light sleep was fine, REM sleep was fine, but how do I get deep sleep to go up? That's really when you clear out your brain of all of that extra, like the amyloid plaques we hear of and the things that cause Alzheimer's. Is during that deep sleep that you get that cleaning out effect. And so, I've tried lots. So I've done like CBD in higher doses to help with deep sleep. I've changed, habits at night. So screen habits, getting the red lights going. I don't actually wear the yellow blue light blocker glasses, but it's a good idea to do.
You just got to make them a little cooler, I would say.
I know. I don't know if there's a way to do that.
Like David, it like makes you look like you're from the 60s or 70s, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. Like you see Dave Asprey, like you were going to say in them all the time. And it's given him a look. I don't know if it's
for everyone
fashionable, but it's definitely a biohacker look.
Do you have a sleep regimen, or you need to be in bed by a certain hour? And if not, then you feel like you're going to mess up your sleep pattern?
I do. Yeah. Like if I get most of my deep sleep, actually most people in general will find they get most of their deep sleep before midnight, 1:00. So the earlier you can go to bed is always going to be the better. So for me, it's like if I'm falling asleep by 10:30, I'm happy.
And what time would you wake up usually?
I'm like the 6 a.m. up and going. Yeah. Try to see some sunlight first thing.
Now, when you go to bed, is there certain things like, so the Oura Ring, reduce screen time? Is there certain things that you also do, like drink a glass of milk or have some water before bed? Is there certain things or you don't eat before bed?
Yeah, I've started my fast by then. So I try to get all my eating done before 7:30, the latest, even for drinking. And then I can
for drinking.
Yeah, that's what I do. Like, cause I don't want to get woken up in the night to have to use the washroom. So, maybe by 8:00, if I've had my last drink by 8, then I'm good. So that's kind of my routine. And then if I can go, a minimum just to help your digestive tract, 12 hours without eating. It's easy to do. And then I kind of think anything after that is gravy, right? Because we don't exactly know when all the different processes start, doing what's called autophagy, which is kind of why a lot of people will intermittent fast, is they want to get that beneficial effect of the body eating its own, the poorly performing cells, things like that. We don't exactly know when that starts for everywhere in the body. But we do know that the digestion, for good digestive health, we need 12 hours. So start there. And then.
Well, even for myself, when I'm eating, if I eat a lot or a heavy meal or carbs, my brain just shuts off. Like it completely is, I feel brain dead. And it takes me maybe an hour and a half to get going again and picking myself up, because I go into this crash. And that's why, finding little ways to eat throughout the day and small portions, I think, can actually help. But the proteins definitely increase your brain speed and your ways of moving, I think. What are ways that you found to move faster, to keep your brain alert and fired up, all those neurons?
Oh, there's lots there. I would add, before I get into it, just to what you were saying and how you're feeling, is a couple hacks for those heavy meals, if you end up having to do them, or the carb heavy meals that are going to spike your blood sugar. It's obviously, I think most people have heard of, if you lift weights or work out prior to eating, like even a couple hours, your muscles will recruit glycogen from that meal readily. And so that'll prevent some of that big spike, which causes that sluggish feeling. And then going for a walk right after your meal, like any sort of light exercise, going for a walk, getting more active, cleaning up, that kind of tells the body, hey, don't just sit there and store that sugar, start using it. So those are a couple of hacks that you can try.
We grow up thinking sugar as a kid will make you hyper and energetic, but no, it actually works the opposite.
Yeah, it just starts working against you the older you get, right? Or that hyperactivity moment lasts a lot less, and you feel, there's remorse after.
That's funny. No, for sure.
But you asked about, a lot of people complain about brain fog or, cognition issues. And one of the things that's been really interesting for us is we have a a device called the Wavi at our clinic.
Now, what exactly is that?
So it's one of the very few EEG-based brain scans that you can get outside of a hospital. And it actually does some of the typical tests that are done to look at brain function. So it's a pretty cool looking helmet, I guess, that you put on with receptors that will track your brain activity. And it's just a great baseline to know, okay, where am I starting from? So something as simple as brain voltage. If your brain voltage is low, like right out of the gate, you've got some issues. You're not going to be increasing, performance speeds if there's no voltage there to really get the brain moving. So it looks at things like that, looks at performance speeds, how quickly you're processing information, looks at stress levels, looks at balance in the brain. So it's a bit predictive of anxiety or mood issues. And then it allows you to really track, okay, what are the things I'm doing that's improving my brain health? So I kind of started there. And then, for me, the big one that was having a pretty big impact on my brain function was stress. So I think a lot of people can relate, business owners. Yeah, you've got your hand up. And so I just started working on that. I'm like, that's what I'm going to hit hard. I'm going to do like stress management. I've got a technology that will actually put you into theta brainwave and parasympathetic state. So I do that a lot.
Is that part of the ECG technology that you have? That same with the wavy, you can actually put someone into theta?
No, so it's a different technology. It's called NewCom, and it uses really sophisticated mathematical algorithms through binaural beats to shift your brainwave into theta. And then it also uses a biosignaling disc that triggers your body to produce the chemicals that you normally have when you're in a parasympathetic or rest and digest type state. So it yanks you out of that fight or flight mode that you're in all the time, and puts you there. So that is 100% a hack, because
for the last 6 years, I've been doing binaural beats, and oh my God, it works.
They absolutely do. The thing is, like, our brains are so sophisticated that if you don't get like big data packs and things that will keep your brain guessing, the brain will learn the binaural patterns. So I don't know if have you ever noticed, hey, I downloaded a new binaural song. It worked the first day, maybe it worked the second day, but it wasn't as good after that.
100%. I can't listen to it twice in a row. No, it's got to be separated throughout the months. Yeah.
Exactly. Because we're that sophisticated. Your brain just figures out the algorithm and then tunes it out. So that's why, like, with our tech, it's like, if you download a 5 gig binaural beat off the internet, to your point, you listen to it once and it'll probably work. But ours are like gigabytes of data to keep the brain from figuring out what the pattern is. So.
What do you prefer to be in? Like, when I'm working, the last thing I want to do is be in theta.
The last thing?
Yeah, because I think if I'm too calm and too chilled out, I don't have that fight or flight, like, let's go. More of the flight, let's go.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't be while you're working though. Like, theta is the state we're in when we're in REM sleep. It's the state we're in when we meditate. And that's what gets us into, gets the whole body calmed down. When you're working, you're not going to be in that state, right?
So would you want to be in that state when you're working? Not really.
The only time that I've heard people really like it is, and I have some entrepreneurs that come in that their brains don't shut off. But so it's not, when they do these NewCom sessions, they say they get really creative because the brain almost gets a bit more into a flow and can come up with good ideas. So I think if you're wanting to be creative, it's a good space to be in. If you're wanting to get stuff done, no, not so much.
Well, actually, that makes sense. Yeah, no, you have that go mentality, but then you can pause for a second and just get into that chill state.
Yeah.
How much does CBD play a role in how we all sleep, how we feel. Has it worked for you?
Yeah, it works for me. Like I can definitely see a difference in my sleep pattern when I use it. I use it for pain management as well. But just as an example, like my husband can't take it at all. It just fires up his brain. He can't sleep, doesn't like it. So it isn't for everyone. There's actually some DNA. If you've got certain DNA markers, you're pretty much guaranteed to not have it work for you. It's a smaller percentage of people, but I think it's something for people to watch for.
I know a lot of actually, again, entrepreneurs and business owners that do very well and take CBD at night, and they are able to close their eyes and find peace, because that's the hardest thing. Your brain's always working, right?
That's right.
And you found it worked for you, CBD?
Yeah, CBD is fine for me. I can function. I don't really feel much of an effect. It's good pain management and for me, and it's got lots of anti-inflammatory properties as well. So you can kind of use it instead of a Advil or something like that. But yeah, I'm with you on the THC. Not so much.
Seriously, it's messed up. Like, and it's not I'm enjoying it. Like, I'm paranoid. It's so wacky. And again, maybe now that you said the DNA thing, could be something in my DNA that just doesn't let it happen. It's like alcohol for me. I mean, there's moments I'm good, and then it just goes into weird triggers, or my sleep is completely shot. And I think that's for many people,
it's shocking what alcohol does to your sleep. Like once you start tracking it, like even one glass that you don't feel, like that you have your glass, you eat your meal, like you wouldn't even think you had one. And if you're tracking the details of what your body's doing, you can see the effect. Like there really, to me, isn't any redeeming qualities to alcohol, except for, if you love the taste, you love a good wine and the social bit. But from a health perspective, no.
But they say one glass of wine a day is good for the heart.
Yeah, they like to say that.
Or maybe that's just humans telling ourselves that, right? Oh,
yeah.
A bottle a day, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, is it annoying to sleep with the ring on?
No, I mean, how many of us sleep with our wedding rings on? I don't. Not many. I do, and it's fine. But yeah, I don't notice it at all. Like I didn't like sleeping with a watch. That was my thing. And also, I like to avoid as much EMFs and things like that as I can. Another kind of biohacker trait. So getting rid of the watch and the Bluetooth was really nice, because the ring will just store your data overnight.
Do you leave your phone outside the room? I don't. It's like right beside.
Oh, why am I not surprised, Zach? Yeah, mine's in the other room. Mine stays well away from me, but yeah. So do you have it right next to your head, right there on the nightstand?
Well, it's actually now on the bed.
Oh, so it's developed a closer relationship.
Yes, and that's not good, because I'll put a podcast on and I'll just let it flow throughout the night. And I think I haven't had a quiet night in a long time. I just leave it on to fall asleep. I used to need quiet to sleep. Now I need sound. It's so weird.
You've at least put your phone in airplane mode.
I don't.
Oh, Zach. Like, if you could see like the little waves coming off it that are, because I guess the big thing that they've learned with like our cells is that it's sort of, they're the most vulnerable while you're sleeping, because they're trying to heal. The processes that are activated when you're sleeping are very regenerative. So the theories being, if you subject yourself to lots of EMF and that sort of thing while you're sleeping, it has the potential to do more damage.
And what kind of damage would EMFs do to you, or the waves?
So, it's the one area I didn't, like, you can go deep, like with your little tin hat on EMFs. And I've never gone there. I've just kind of gone with, it's bad to stand in front of the microwave. I've tested my microwave. There's it's well above the safe limit that even like government recommends.
But it's bizarre to see all these different things. I mean, 5G scares so many people. Are we going to start wearing tinfoil hats?
Yeah, I think some people do. I don't. Kind of like and this is part of, I think, the allure of biohacking, and doing some of these things from a preventative perspective for your health is we're not going to put tin hats on. We're not going to get rid of our cell phones. We're probably still going to eat ice cream, every now and then. So what can you do to hack your health, or to take a more preventative approach that's going to allow you to still enjoy a bunch of this stuff?
Is it about looking your best or feeling your best? And there's such a difference. People think, oh, that person looks so healthy, but are they really,
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's quite a few people, and kudos to them because they want to take a preventative look at themselves, but they come in with no concerns, zero concerns. Just, I want to optimize my health and live as long and healthy as possible. And sometimes you uncover some pretty substantial stuff that if we hadn't discovered now, in their blood work or their labs, that in 5 years or 10 years time, that's going to be a serious disease. So it's really cool to find it now and do something about it.
You talked about red light earlier. What exactly does red lights do to benefit a human being? Because I didn't know much about red lights. I mean, your saunas obviously have it. Speaking of your sauna, it's pretty wicked.
Yeah, and that's the one that maybe we convinced, if I was going to twist your arm to get something at home, it's grab a sauna. But saunas use infrared.
Like, what is the benefits of a sauna, having a sauna? Or being in a sauna, let's say that. What is the benefits of being in a sauna?
Well, I'd say there's probably 3 key benefits that most people we see will use it for. So the one would be detox, so getting a good sweat going. One is increasing your metabolic health, so great post-workout to keep the calories burning. But even just sitting in the sauna is going to really support your metabolism. And then the last one is around longevity. So there's been a lot of studies that are maybe not emerging, there's quite a bit of ongoing study on what's called heat shock proteins, which are a key piece of what keeps our cells healthy and is promoting longevity. So you asked about like a steam room versus a sauna. So anything that's going to get your temperature really high is going to support some of that heat shock protein work in the body. But the studies have been done on mostly on Finnish, dry saunas. And now there's new ones on infrared. And the infrared, of course, penetrates your muscles differently. So you're getting some pain or joint and inflammation benefits too. Wow. So I would always tend towards sauna over steam room.
Personally. Are you big on vitamins and MCT oils and all of that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's so cool.
And I mean, I'm always shocked by people that don't take any supplements, that are like, oh, we're getting it from our food. And it's like, really? Because, I eat 9 cups of vegetables a day, and my cow is from the farm down the road, grass-fed, grass-finished. And, I still don't think that we have the quality soils anymore and the quality produce to support that super high level of performance and optimization that you want to see coming from nutrients.
Are people looking for a quality of life or a longevity of life? What are people trying to hack here most oftentimes?
Oh, with the exception of those who have death anxieties, like my partner, 100% people are looking for healthier lifespan. How long do you want to live?
You know what? I never thought about it. For the longest time, I was like, I don't really care. I was that person.
Yeah.
For many years of my life, I said, it doesn't matter. Man, live life. YOLO, you only live once, call it that. But now, as I took on sobriety since November, really change a little bit of my lifestyle, how I want to feel. I really want to live as long as possible. I want to live. I want to feel life, see life, and enjoy it without having health restrictions. And as we get older, you start feeling different pains. Like I went golfing over the weekend, and now my shoulder is killing me here.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And this is that you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's like when I ask people how long they want to live, I'll get, maybe a response like yours, or I haven't thought of it, or 85. People expect to degenerate and feel like crap, and nobody wants to be sticking around for that business, right? But if you knew, hey, you'll be playing golf until the last 2 months you're on earth, I mean, it just kind of changes your perspective on how long you want to live, right?
Yeah. How about this? How long do you want to live?
Yeah, like I'm just going to emphasize my point, because I want to live for as long as I feel good.
Yes.
But the really cool thing that they found in all the studies on centenarians, like so people who live 100 and more years, is they all tend to be really healthy, and then they decline very quickly. So usually if someone dies when they're over 100, it's within 6 months. So it's great for the healthcare system if you keep somebody healthy up to 100. And I think it's great for the person. Like, who wants to stick around and be sick forever? Like, if you can be gone quickly, but you've lived a rich life, active life on your own, till well past 100. Yes, I'm all for that. I'm in.
I love watching those videos on those centenarians, because you also see those traits they have, how they stayed happy, worry less about certain things. So much of our day-to-day lives, a lot of it doesn't matter. Your opinion sometimes really, in the grand scheme of it, doesn't change anything.
I know.
Isn't it true?
It makes you feel pretty humbled, I guess, to think of it that way.
Are you afraid of dying?
I'm not. I've almost died a few times, so maybe been there, done that, but I'm not.
Oh my God. Was it for health reasons when you were sick?
Yeah, like a bit, because I have a peanut allergy, very severe anaphylactic peanut allergy. And I've had a few really close calls, where I've had some peanut at a restaurant, was told it was fine, waited too long, to call for help.
Do you have an EpiPen with you?
Yeah, I carry a couple. Like I'm very severe, so yeah, for sure.
Cool. Thank you, Lisa.
Bye, Zach.
Bye. We'll chat later.